Hello, my name is Michael Frost, the Rock Hill Schools Director of Marketing and Communications. We have first would like to say thank you for taking time out of your day to invest in learning more about your child's options for the 2021 school year in Rock Hill. We are excited to be able to share with you more information about the Rock Hill Schools Virtual Academy. Throughout today's presentation, you will hear from a number of people involved on our team that are working directly with and or supporting the Virtual Academy in all of the details that are going into meeting the needs of our students in this new and engaging and exciting way and opportunity for our Rock Hill community. So as we get started, I'd like to introduce the folks that you will see and hear from today. We will have Dr. John Jones, who is our Chief of Academics and Accountability. We will have Dr. Missy Brakefield, our Executive Director of Elementary Education. Also, you will hear from Miss Jennifer Morrison, who is our Executive Director of Secondary Education. And you will hear from Dr. Nancy Turner, who is our Director of Exceptional Student Education. Each of these individuals have received questions in advance that have been submitted through the registration process, and that has helped us to frame the conversation this morning, as well as build the answers into our presentation. So I would like to let you know that, but in the event you have questions that you want to ensure that we hear, and that we are able to provide a response to either live today or in our response document on our website, please use the Q&A feature available in Zoom. This is available by clicking the Q&A button on your toolbar. We will do our best to monitor those questions throughout, and as time allows at the end of our time today, we will answer them by category, by theme, and try to reiterate some points that we may make throughout the presentation. So please use that opportunity that we are making available to you today. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the leadership of the Rock Hill Schools Virtual Academy. The program will be housed as far as its office structure at the Flexible Learning Center. Dr. Walter Wolf is our director of the Flexible Learning Center, which is home to our current alternative opportunities and our current virtual opportunity for our high school students. So as you hear different discussions this morning in our presentation, do know that we are not new to the virtual environment and virtual teaching for high school students, and we we'll share more about the growth in this area for elementary and middle. And to the point of our elementary program, our elementary virtual program will be led by Derek McQuiston. He is a former assistant principal in our district, most recently at Oakdale Steam Elementary School, and has other history in the district as well. And later in today's session, you will be able to hear from both Dr. Wolf and Mr. McQuiston. Now we'll transition the presentation to Dr. Jones to jump right in for us today. So welcome, Dr. Jones.
Thank you, sir, and good morning. We wish you a good day and are happy to meet with you today. I'm John Jones. I am the Chief Academics of Accountability for Rock Hill Schools, and we hope you're having a good summer. We know it is a busy summer. And it's a busy summer for us. Usually this time of year, we are busy preparing for the upcoming school year. Our work does look different this year, though, as we are coming together as departments, providing information to parents, wanting to make sure that we offer parents in Rock Hill Schools a choice for the upcoming year. And we're proud to tell you about the choice that we're offering through our Rock Hill Schools Virtual Academy. For some time now, Rock Hill Schools has considered an option for virtual learning for students. As the needs and the characteristics of learners change, we know that a virtual option can offer great qualities for our students who are in the 21st century. Flexibility, use of our one-to-one device program for access, looking at how students can catch up in school, particularly if they have lost credits, as well as the ability to be self-paced, or some of the characteristics that make virtual appealing as an option. However, our community's current challenge with the COVID-19 health crisis has led Rock Hill Schools to offer a virtual option for students and families for the upcoming school year. Now, as Rock Hill Schools has equipped to provide virtual learning through such past initiatives as our one-to-one laptop program, our learning management system, which you may know as Canvas, as well as digital resources, the development of a virtual program is not only a good fit for those families who remain concerned about the pandemic, but also for those who simply enjoy the benefits of learning from home while still having access to certified teachers as well as a challenging curriculum. So how is the learning in Rock Hill Schools Virtual Academy different from the brick and mortar school? And make sure we clarify, we're just talking about tonight the Rock Hill Schools Virtual Academy. That is virtual instruction that's offered by computer and through internet to a student. There are similarities and differences in instruction with Rock Hill Schools Virtual Academy when you're thinking about the academy versus if you choose for your child to participate in face-to-face at the school building. Both approaches, the Virtual Academy classroom face-to-face, are based in the teaching of the state standards. The South Carolina Essential Standards will drive the curriculum, teaching, and learning. Both face-to-face and virtual have the presence of a certified teacher. And the Rock Hill Virtual Academy will offer a blended model that combines face-to-face through a computer and independent work throughout the week via live streaming and digital coursework. Now, please know that this will be different from the remote learning that took place in the spring. Our teachers, our parents, and our students did an incredible job when we had to close our facilities back in March and shift to remote learning. And we learned a lot from that experience, as well as parents provided us feedback, as well as students. And we want to make sure that moving forward with virtual education, that we have more expectations, more of a framework, and more of a foundation of making sure that we deliver the content as needed. We will provide expectations that teachers provide schedules for learning, just as they would if they were in a face-to-face class at the school building. Students will also be taught by a certified teacher who's focused on 100% virtual instruction throughout the day. Students and parents will be able to interact with the teacher. Next slide, please. Also, in Rock Hill Schools Virtual Academy, students will be assigned a teacher just as they are in both elementary, middle, and high schools. Elementary teachers will teach ELA, math, science, and social studies, while middle and high school teachers will instruct by their subject areas. Teachers will be responsible for setting up communication and communicating daily with a learning schedule with students and families. Parents will be able to contact the teacher if there are any questions or any concerns. Schoolwork will be provided for students in Rock Hill Virtual Academy 5 days a week. There will be a blend of face-to-face with the teacher through the computer, as well as independent work, practice, small group. But we will be planning for instruction provided to your students and for your student to complete 5 days a week. Now, learning in the Virtual Academy does require that students have access to a laptop as well as internet service. Our district works to provide laptops. We currently provide laptops in grades 3 through 8, but we will be expanding to providing a computer in grades K through 2 if that is needed. Also, we are going to work for families who do not have internet service to provide hotspots. That would be limited internet service that will be available for students to connect with the teacher and do their work. Various learning platforms will be used for instructional materials, teleconferencing, and communication. So as Rock Hill Schools Virtual Academy is a choice for parents, and it is not a required program, there are parameters that students and families must agree upon in order to participate. These are based upon state and local policies, as well as guidelines and organization requirements necessary to make this option available for parents. First, the program will be available to students in grades kindergarten through grade 12. Organization of the students in elementary will be self-contained, with one teacher being provided for the core subjects taught. In middle school, students will be organized in teams as they take their classes. In high school, access is course-based, with a teacher instructing each course offered. Now, there is an application process that must be completed, and you're going to hear more about that in the presentation tonight. It will be important that students who wish to attend the Virtual Academy complete online registration during the registration window and by the conclusion of the registration window so that we may allocate the necessary resources. Now, this is important. For the 2021 school year, the student's school assignment will remain his or her school while enrolled in the Rock Hill Virtual Academy. And this includes any choice assignments made for the year ahead. There will be no lottery process for admission into the Rock Hill Schools Virtual Academy. Whatever school your child is assigned for the upcoming year will be your child's school while participating in Rock Hill Virtual Academy. By choosing Rock Hill Virtual Academy, that does not mean your child will be reassigned. So your child will simply be assigned to the school that he or she is planning to assign while attending the Virtual Academy. And there, of course, is no cost to attend the Virtual Academy. Next slide, please. Also, in order to participate, students must be a registered student in Rock Hill Schools. If a student is current homeschool student or attending a charter, private school, or school in another district, the student is welcome to attend Rock Hill Virtual Academy as long as he or she is enrolled as an active student in Rock Hill Schools. Students' school assignment will remain the same as assigned for the 2021 school year. So students may participate in athletics and extracurricular activities. If you can go forward, please. Okay, yes. So students, we said they must be registered to attend the second block there. Students may participate in athletics and extracurricular activities in the school where they are enrolled. This includes club, PTA functions and meetings, and other school-based activities. Please note that students to participate in sports must meet eligibility requirements and transportation is unable to be provided. But students may participate in athletics and extracurricular activities in that school where they are assigned for the upcoming year. Also, as typical with virtual education, student-teacher ratios may be larger in the virtual setting. Also, it's important to know that a teacher in the Virtual Academy may not necessarily be a teacher in your student's assigned school. The teacher may be a grade level teacher located in another school, or it could be a contracted teacher to instruct the course. All teachers are licensed to instruct the class they are assigned to teach. Next slide, please. And finally, the Rock Hill Academy follows the normal 2020-21 Rock Hill School calendar. Please note that the virtual program will allow holidays and students off as scheduled on the calendar. However, work is provided for those days students are scheduled to attend school. And school will continue for Rock Hill Virtual Academy if our buildings close due to inclement weather, emergencies, or a water main break. For students in the elementary and middle schools to attend Rock Hill Virtual Academy, the school district will need to assign teachers for the entire 2020-2021 school year. Thus, if an elementary or middle school student wishes to attend the Virtual Academy, we will require the student to commit for the year ahead. That is for elementary and middle school students. Unfortunately, students will not be able to transfer from virtual back into the building during the entire school year. So please consider this when applying for the virtual academy. As high school classes are course-based within semesters, we will require students who attend virtual academy to attend for the duration of the semester. So some parents have said, what if we change our mind during the semester? Well, what we are going to do is to recruit and assign our teachers based upon the enrollment. So if a parent enrolls in Rock Hill Virtual in elementary and middle school, then we will need to sustain the student in that program in order to be able to offer it to all students. And it'll be for semester in the high school. And finally, the program is being built and designed for the upcoming year. So we know that this may look different after our first year, and we may make some changes. So any attributes or qualities offered this year in the virtual Rock Hill Virtual Academy may be different in the future, but we are planning for the upcoming year at this time. Next slide, please. Many of our students have applied and been accepted into a choice program for the upcoming year. For the upcoming school year, students who are assigned to a choice program will retain their enrollment in the original choice program for this year, as well as the 2021-2022 school year. Their choice program will be their assigned school for the upcoming year. For example, if my child was accepted into the choice program at Northside Elementary School of the Arts, Northside Elementary will be my child's assigned school for this coming year, as well as the 2021-2022 school year, unless you decided to return to your home school. But that would be your school for this year. You will not lose your choice slot by participating in the virtual program. Now, that being said, we know that some choice programs offer courses of study and content that builds upon one another in order for students to succeed. I'm thinking about maybe the language immersion program. We are working on strategies that will keep students engaged in the content that they and what is offered by the choice school. In particular, for example, I mentioned DLI. How can we keep students engaged in the program? Because we may not be able to offer the full DLI program in an immersion setting, or there may be another that we're not able to offer in the full immersion setting. However, to support our students, our principals and our curriculum staff will work to see how we can engage our students in the content and what is studied and the themes, and particularly also for any skills that are needed like language. We want to keep our students engaged with the choice school, so we're going to work to see how we can make sure we keep certain activities, certain lessons, certain content available.
Good evening. I'm Missy Brakefield, Executive Director for Elementary Education. We're delighted to have you with us tonight. I'm sure you have many questions. A few of those may be related to attendance, grading, and assessments, and I would like to share a little bit of information with you tonight. Attendance will be taken daily for each class. We will follow the South Carolina regulations regarding mandatory attendance. All students will participate in state and local testing and follow the grading guidelines of the school district. Grading for kindergarten through second grade will be based on the standards-based report card. Grading for third through 12th grade will be based on the South Carolina Uniform Grading Policy. State assessments will be conducted per South Carolina regulations and time frames. Next slide, please. And you may have additional wonderings about the elementary school program, so let me provide to you a little bit of overview information. For elementary students in the virtual program, the program will be set up much like a regular school day, with instruction provided by South Carolina certified teachers and some of our very own Rock Hill school teachers as well. A structured daily schedule with designated start and end class times will be followed. Students will have the opportunity to engage in quality learning opportunities which are aligned with South Carolina College and Career Ready standards for language arts, math, science, and social studies, all made possible through broadcasted or live lessons an online learning platform, small group sessions, and individual sessions. Students will be full-time online learners. Students will also have other opportunities. For example, students will be engaged in independent activities to work on assignments, participate in related arts, recess, and other breaks scheduled throughout the day. And as many of you have inquired in our chat tonight, special education, English to speakers of other languages, and gifted and talented services will be provided to all eligible students. We are excited today to be able to announce that Mr. McQuiston will be joining us as Elementary Virtual Academy Coordinator. Mr. McQuiston joins us with a strong understanding of elementary programming related to grading and assessing, state standards, curriculum, and a depth of knowledge and quality instruction both in traditional setting and a virtual setting, as well as experience as a school administrator. Welcome, Mr. McQuiston.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Morrison. I am your Executive Director for Secondary Education in the district, and I'm going to talk a little bit about our middle school program and our high school program. And Dr. Wolf is going to chat with you a little bit towards the end of the webinar, but he is definitely one who will be answering a lot of questions and will be dealing directly with our middle and high school programs in the Rock Hill Virtual Academy. But at the middle school, it's good to note that, again, we're going to set up the program much like a regular school day with instruction that's provided by certified teachers and a structured daily schedule that has a designated start and end time. So this would be one difference than necessarily what had happened in spring 2020. So it is much more structured, clear start time, clear end time. We're going to work to provide some flexibility for our middle school students and probably more flexibility for our high school students who may be working during the day or be involved in some other activities. So, but we know that we want to build on what we're doing at the elementary level, and we want to keep it as tight as possible to a regular school day. Of course, students are going to have the opportunity to engage in high quality learning opportunities that are aligned to our state standards in their core areas. But we also want to work to provide related and performing arts opportunities for our students. We'll be working with the courses that our students signed up for the 2021 school year at their assigned schools, and be working to provide as many of those as possible. Students will be full-time learners, and we of course will be offering the opportunity to register for high school credit-bearing courses that are already offered in our middle schools, like English 1 and Algebra 1. I'll talk a little bit more about related and performing arts when we get to high school. But please know that our goal is to get as close as possible to what your students registered for. And if needed, we can make some allowances to make sure students have the opportunity to complete programs, especially at the middle school level, but also at the high school level, where completion of programs will allow them to be CATE completers, or CATE being Career and Technology Education, or complete programs like AP Scholars or those kinds of things. We want to make sure that when they participate in the virtual academy that they're not limited on those things. Some things we probably will not be able to offer, like International Baccalaureate at the high school level, because IB does not allow us to offer courses in an online format. So we'll be putting a lot more information about specifics with courses in our facts document that'll be available to you on Friday. But at the middle school level, of course, in that structure of the day, students will not be staring at a screen that entire time, and they'll have time to work on their assignments, to have small group meetings or independent meetings with their teachers, participate in those related and performing arts, and take breaks scheduled through the day. And then, of course, special education and ESOL services will be offered to our students. At the middle school level, as many of our middle school parents know, our gifted and talented services are offered through the core classes. It's a little bit different at the elementary level, but at the middle level, we offer a GT class in English language arts and in math, and that will continue in the virtual academy program. So please know that those services will be continuing in this format as well. Next slide, please, Michael. So the high school program, like middle school, high school is very much set up in terms of courses. And so your certified teachers are certified in that actual area that they're teaching. So at the elementary school, your student might have, one teacher and maybe a support teacher. At the middle and high school program levels, they'll have multiple teachers for different courses that they are taking. But at the high school level, we are setting up a regular school day, again, provided by our certified teachers, as of course we would definitely do, and we'll have designated start and end times. But as I just said, and Dr. Wolf may speak to this a little bit, we want to offer more flexibility as students go through the program. So a little bit of flexibility at the middle school level and increased flexibility at the high school level. And we'll make sure that we address that as well. So at the high school level, students are very engaged in completing their high school courses that they need for credit that lead to a South Carolina diploma. Diploma requirements are going to stay the same whether a student is face-to-face or virtual. That doesn't necessarily change. In our virtual academy, courses will be provided for our online learning through the online learning platform, and students will be considered full-time online learners. Sometimes course offerings will be limited by the virtual environment and platform, so not all courses that a student was registered for the 2021 school year may be available online. In those cases, we really have to look and make sure your students are getting what they need, and we'll be working with the guidance counselors at your assigned schools to make alternate course choices. If needed, find those essential courses, modify individual graduation plans, and if needed, then make sure that your child has the opportunity to take that course at the assigned school. So for example, we can offer courses at the Applied Technology Center, like Computer Science and Digital Art 1 and 2 and Health Science 1, in an online format. That can be done. But if your child is taking welding, that can't really be offered in an online format. So we need to be able to, your child is going to need to go to ATC during the day to take that program. And as you know, our schools are starting the year with an A-B schedule. So that doesn't mean that going to the school would only happen on one of those days. So we'll provide more information in our facts document as we work out some of the details with how that would actually work. But please know that our goal is always to provide your child with what he or she needs to progress, not only for the South Carolina diploma, but in their individual programs in their interest areas. So, our CATE completers, our students doing AP. AP is very easily available online. We want to make sure that students have those opportunities, and we'll be working with our dual credit college partners to see how we can make this work for those dual credit courses as well. So we'll be looking at the middle and high school level at the courses that your children have already registered for, and that you probably had an IGP meeting with a counselor to get those set up for this coming school year. So I think that, and then the other important thing, thank you, Michael. The other important thing is that student services are really, really important at the high school level, working with your guidance counselor, sometimes your mental health counselors and some of the other support staff that we have available at the high school. And those folks will be available to you because your student is still going to be enrolled in that assigned school. And the other important thing to note, especially for seniors who might be participating in the virtual academy, is that they would be graduating from their assigned high schools. So again, the schedule will allow for independent time and breaks and doing what high school students need to do. And then, of course, special education services and English ESOL services will be available as well. And I think Dr. Turner is going to talk a little bit in a minute about special education services. So thank you. Next slide. The other thing that's really important, I think at any level, but maybe especially at high school when it comes to sports, and Dr. Jones talked a little bit about this, is that your students will be able to participate in athletics and extracurricular activities and events that are offered at their assigned schools. If there are eligibility requirements, like eligibility requirements for sports or eligibility requirements for things like National Junior Honor Society, your students have to meet those requirements in order to participate. And the other thing that's really important for you to think about, if, for example, a course needs to be taken at the assigned school, or there are after-school and extracurricular activities like athletics that your child wants to participate in, that transportation will not be provided. And so that's important to note, because there'll be transportation that needs to happen with families or with the students themselves, when they're older and driving. Thank you. And Michael, if you could flip it. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Jones.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison. So technology, of course, is an important part of this experience. We will aim to provide devices for learning if needed. Those devices will be school district administered. Families without internet service, we are working to gain internet activity through a hotspot, and parents will have a chance to apply for that. That hotspot, of course, would only support the work that is done through Rock Hill Virtual Academy, but also assist the student in being able to visibly see the teacher, interact, and communicate. Students will use technology for virtual instruction, as well as access their instructional resources. We found out during the closure back in March that we set up a depot for devices that may have been broken or devices that ran into technical problems. We're going to have the same setup for our virtual students. There will be a place that a laptop can be taken for service, as well as a help desk that will be set up that you may call or you may email. So technical support will be available. And finally, we have our laptop deployment program, which for one-to-one, which has been for grades 3 through 12. And we are going to expand that in putting a device in the hands of our kindergarten through grade 2 for those students who need that. And you will have the option that if you would like to have a device for that. Some people have been using their own devices at home, but if you would like to have a device, we're going to work in providing that.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nancy Turner, and I am your Director of Exceptional Student Education for Rock Hill Schools. I'd like to share with you some information in reference to our children with disabilities and our virtual academy option. All students with disabilities have an opportunity to apply and to attend the virtual academy. Your student's IEP team will need to meet within 30 days of the start of school, and identify the targeted goals, take a look at related services, as well as other supports that would be necessary to meet your child's unique needs during the time in our virtual academy. The special educator assigned to your student will provide progress reports and will facilitate the IEP team meetings. Keep in mind, I believe Dr. Jones mentioned this earlier, that the teachers, special ed teacher included, may not be the special ed teacher from the assigned school. However, special education teacher will be certified in special education and through the state of South Carolina. Other supports may come from the student's assigned school, as was said, such as mental health. A few questions I had seen about related services, all related services that are on the IEP that your child may need will be available through virtual means. And so as we take a look at enrollment in Virtual Academy, know that we will provide a flexible instructional delivery framework. This means that the placement is the same. It is the location that is different. So instruction in the Virtual Academy would not change the goals, would not change the measurable terms or criteria for mastery that the IEP team has already determined. As I mentioned, related services, speech, OTPT, they would be scheduled during the week and then provided virtually as well. Should you choose the Virtual Academy for your child with disabilities, the IEP team would need to reconvene within 30 days and then determine if the IEP is reflecting the appropriate goals and accommodations for the new location.
So I like this slide because you have a choice to make, and you do not have to make the choice today. And but I know that as someone with lots of children in my family, it is important to make really good choices, and we respect that in Rock Hill Schools. We want to make sure that you have good choices. And I will say that the decision does not have to be made tonight. Mr. Frost is going to talk about registration in a minute, and then we'll answer some questions and that kind of thing. But before you register, we will be putting out a fax document, frequently asked questions related to the Rock Hill Virtual Academy, and that will come out at the end of this week. And so Mike will be putting it on the website for you to access, and a lot of the questions that you're answering, some of the ones that we may not get to tonight, we're going to work to incorporate those into the fax document, and that will continue to be updated over time. This is the first year that we're doing a K-12 program, and so there are lots of things that we're trying to put in place, flexibilities for next year, because you'll be engaging in this for the first time, and so will we at the elementary level especially. And but we want to build this as a program that is stable over time and is an option that is always available to our Rock Hill families. So that fax document will be coming out on Friday, and a lot of the questions that I'm seeing in the Q&A really don't necessarily have to do with the Virtual Academy, but what will be happening with the blended schedule in all of our schools. And so just so you all know, the board made the decision last night for a blended schedule, and we'll be producing a district plan similar to a lot of other district plans that are coming out in other districts. We wanted to make sure we had a good decision. The board had the opportunity to do that, and we're working on a district plan for what the safety protocols, what the schedule will mean, all those different kinds of pieces in all of our schools, and that plan will be available next week. And so registration does not end until I think July 27th. Mr. Frost will talk about that, but you may want to look at that overall plan. You might want to look at the fax document and use all of that information to weigh your options. The other thing too that you really need to think about is, in terms of thinking about virtual, is this Virtual Academy the right fit for your child, and is it the right fit for your family? Because there are certain things you need to be able to answer yes to these bulleted questions. So can your child stay focused while learning on the internet? And all families really experienced whether that can happen during the spring. Is your child comfortable with limited face-to-face interaction? And this could be different for different ages of kids, and different kids have different needs. Does your child have someone at home to help if he or she has technical problems? Sometimes that's technical problems with the actual work, but oftentimes it's technical problems with a computer or with a hotspot and those kinds of things. And as Dr. Jones said, there's a help hotline for tech, and then also a depot that can help with fixing things. But you will probably be the first line in figuring out what the problems actually are. And then we'll definitely be there to support. So you do need to have someone who can help with that first figuring out of what the problem actually is. Two questions about the context in your home. Do you have a learning space in your home that is free of distractions? My sister and I have had a lot of conversations about this, and she does not in her home. And so it was really difficult in the spring. She's in Charleston. So, and then also, are you willing to create the kind of structure that would be needed in your child's day to ensure that they're successful? So 2 things about the home. Is your child comfortable with asking questions? If your child's older, is your child comfortable with advocating for him or herself? Can your child work on a project independently or without procrastinating? You know, if your child's older, can he or she keep schoolwork like due dates and needed materials organized? And if your child is younger, are you ready to take the time to help your child learn to do those things? And so there is a lot to think about when you make a choice for a pure virtual learning environment. And so it is important to think about whether the virtual academy would be the right fit for your child and your family. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Frost.
Thank you, Ms. Morrison, and other team members who have shared this evening. I now have the privilege of sharing about the registration process for the Rock Hill Schools Virtual Academy. A couple things I just want to clarify that have been throughout the chat this evening, and that is that by participating in this program, and you hear us using the word program and not school, very purposely saying it's a program and not a school, because you still need to register for school. That is something Dr. Jones covered earlier this evening, is that there's still the important piece to register for school as a student with Rock Hill School District. So if you're listening this evening and you are currently not attending Rock Hill Schools, we welcome you to join our family by registering as a student first and then completing the application for the Virtual Academy, which opens, as you can see there on the screen, the orange box. Our registration window opens July 17th and closes on Monday, July 27th. Specific to our students at the secondary level, which have classes and schedules that are based on the course, we will work with those students after registering for the virtual program to ensure that there is the ability to transition those schedules into the virtual environment. We've covered at length the considerations and concerns that parents may have with students who have children with disabilities or an IEP, that we encourage you to enroll if you believe this is an opportunity for your child. As Dr. Turner shared, there would be an expectation within the first 30 days for the IEP team to meet and review the placement of a student. There's also an application available to those families who have an interest and a desire to explore this as an opportunity for their family, but you may feel you have a roadblock. You may feel there's a challenge with access to at-home internet or access to a computer. Please don't let that be a barrier. Please check the box on the application that you will need further assistance. Dr. Jones has alluded to this earlier, but we are entering into an agreement to purchase additional hotspots to be made available for our families with T-Mobile. So through that, we will be able to provide to those who need it at-home internet access, as well as he shared about the technology that will be made available and that the computer will be provided by the school district in the event one is needed. For those students who have an extenuating circumstance, or request to gain approval, to transition back to an in-person education model, we will address those on a case-by-case basis. And there would be opportunity at the semester break for our students in K through 8, kindergarten through grade 8, excuse me, to do that transition at the semester break. Same would be true for our high school students. And again, that will be handled on a case-by-case basis. The number 4 there on your screen is very, very important. The deadline is July 27th. No wiggle room there. The 27th is the 27th, and that is when the registration window will close at this point. So we've kind of given you the framework of how to apply, and now here's the where to apply. We have the application webpage up on our website at this time. However, because today is not July 17th, you cannot go register right now. So you feel free to jot down that address. It will be provided to you via a follow-up email tomorrow following today's presentation. So if you don't write it down, you will have access to it tomorrow. One thing here to point out specifically, there's likely families watching tonight with us that have multiple children that are going to be interested in pursuing this opportunity. So we ask and require that each student have an application submitted. This isn't a family application. This is an application per child. So we hope that if you consider this for multiple children, you understand that and that you will complete that process. Earlier there was a question in the chat specific to our school registration, which again is separate from this program registration. And the indication was that they tried to go back into the registration portal and change their school. Again, you are registering for your home school or the school you're assigned as a participant in a choice program. The application for the virtual academy is separate, but they both are required, both the regular application registration form for school as well as the application for virtual. During the application, you will be able to, you will be required to provide some general information. One important piece of that, among others, is your email address. This is how we will correspond with you regarding the program. So it's incredibly important that the correct email address that you have access to is used during your registration process. That is where you will receive your confirmation that we have received your application, and also how we will provide follow-up correspondence with you. So please be mindful of that. There have been folks that have attempted to register for our information sessions. Those of you participating this evening clearly were able to receive the registration links, but some registrations were submitted with incorrect email addresses. So there were families that would like to participate in these live sessions but have not been able to due to email issues and incorrect addresses. So you may feel like I'm harping on that and stressing, but it is incredibly important because that is our avenue to correspond with you regarding this program. Ms. Morrison did indicate that we are actively building and answering questions on a frequently asked questions document. The questions that you have asked this evening through the Q&A, through the chat, will be included in the document if they are not already there. During the registration for this meeting, we had the opportunity to receive questions from many of you in advance, and so we've begun to build those responses. And as the screen says, we will make this available on or before Friday, July 17th, so that you will be able to consume the information that is being provided to you to help you to be best informed, to make the best decision for your children for the upcoming school year. It was asked in the chat if it would be possible to provide the transcript of the Q&A box this evening, and we will be accomplishing that through the frequently asked questions document. Those of you who have asked questions in the chat may realize that the complete answers aren't being provided, so the transcript would be incomplete if we were to do that. So the full questions and the answers will be provided on our website by the end of this week. And that is the bulk of our presentation, and we want to allow Mr. McQuiston as well as Dr. Wolf to kind of bring us home and bring us to the finish line here. So if we turn the floor over, Mr. McQuiston, if you would share a little bit about yourself, and then Dr. Wolf will go from there.
Absolutely. I want to begin by saying hello to everybody and thank you for joining us tonight. I've really enjoyed hearing the presentation and also watching the chat. It's really inspiring to see such a connected group of parents and community members who are weighing out options and discussing opportunities, and I'm thrilled that we are able to provide this choice option for students in Rock Hill for next year. I'm Derek McQuiston. I'll be serving in the elementary capacity, and I am thrilled to be in this role with you. I just began my 14th year with Rock Hill School District. I was very lucky to find this district as a new teacher coming out of grad school, and I said on one of the calls earlier today that I feel like I've got that same excitement going into this year in this role as I did my first year as a brand new teacher, with the butterflies and jitters and the excitement of the opportunity to create something amazing and special for students in Rock Hill. So thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for your questions. Mr. Frost, if I could, while I've got my microphone turned on, there were a couple questions that came up that I think we can speak to pretty directly. So while I'm talking, I'll first talk about screen time. And I think as we talk about elementary learners in a virtual environment, that is a very real question and a very valid question that we need to be asking, because the goal of this program is not for a child to be sitting in front of a screen, staring at a monitor for 8 hours a day. That is not the goal. And when we talk about screen time, I think one of the natural conversations that comes up very quickly is the idea of using technology to communicate and leveraging that tool as a way to create and not just consume. And so there are a lot of ways that kids consume media, and we're really looking to build something that is engaging and rigorous and academically challenging, but also is something that provides opportunities for critique, for presentation, for reflection, for collaboration, for small group work, for all those different ways in which we engage students in powerful ways that we know are best practice. So really, the delivery model is just what's changing. The instructional background and the pedagogy used to create those instructional resources and learning materials is really what we're looking at. So screen time is a great question and is one that we are going to be aware of. One other way that we can sort of navigate the issue of screen time is through the schedule. So I've seen several parents asking about the schedule at the elementary level. So I just want to make sure that we're very clear in answering that question, that the virtual academy will follow the Rock Hill School District calendar. So our days and number of days and the days that we are at school and working will be the same. However, our bell schedule will also be the same. So if elementary starts at 7:45, kids are logged on and beginning their day at 7:45. So we're looking to mimic as much as we can a schedule for kids, because we know that schedules work and that structure is a good thing for kids to get engaged in that workday. So schedule. The other thing that we saw come up in the chat was questions regarding class size. So I want to just say very directly that class size every year in any environment is always a gamble with what enrollment is going to look like at any grade or at any level or in any venue. So the district will be monitoring enrollments so that we can staff accordingly, which is why we are working so hard to try to get this information out to our families so that we can make the best personnel decisions possible with the information that we have. So if you know of families who are interested, please encourage them to jump on to one of our future sessions next week so that they can hear this information, they can ask their questions, they can get the understanding that they're looking for to make this very heavy decision, and so that we can then plan accordingly to be prepared for students very shortly. So with that, Dr. Wolf, I apologize I ran longer, but I turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, and parents, I like to begin by saying thank you. Thank you for being an advocate for your child or children. I know there's a lot of hefty decisions to be made, and I appreciate you being here and being a part of this conversation. My boys are both products of Rock Hill Schools, and going through their early years, middle and high school years, I wanted to know something about their administration. So you've heard a lot on the front end about the program, how things are set up, and still a lot of questions to answer. But I, along with Mr. McQuiston, will kind of be that face of the virtual academy and be the one working with both you and your child or children. So let me begin by saying, been doing this for a long time as far as working with students. I've been doing this for 36 years. As far as Rock Hill Schools, I've been a part of this district for, it's hard to believe, but about 29 years. I started off as a guidance counselor and then moved into administration. And this is where my heart, my passion is, or I wouldn't still be doing this after 36 years. My wife, she is a part of Rock Hill Schools. My oldest, or our oldest son, is a fourth grade teacher and has been teaching at Rock Hill Schools for about 6 years now. Our youngest just graduated from Winthrop and married about 5-6 weeks ago, and he will start off his first year of teaching, fourth grade teacher in Rock Hill Schools. So needless to say, conversations around the dinner table do center around education. So I say that just to let you know that, I'm with you, not just as an administrator, but as a parent. Understand that this is still new in one regard when you look at it from the elementary perspective. Other than what we've been doing with e-learning back in the spring, this is new uncharted territory where we are heading to a true K-12 environment. Middle school, we've been doing it some through the Flex Center, but those of you that are high school parents, this is not new to us. I have lived in this realm since 2003. Now, mind you, Phoenix Academy has been more of a blended learning environment, and what that means is we're brick and mortar, but we're virtual, self-paced, mastery-based. So our learning platform has always been within a virtual platform. Teachers are facilitators. They're able to work one-on-one with students. The difference with this, it would be more in a virtual realm as opposed to face-to-face. However, when it comes to virtual, we have also been doing that over the past several years. We have served students that may have a full-time working schedule. They may be a teen parent. They may be pregnant, let's say, and they can't attend a traditional school, medically fragile. So we have served a number of students virtually. So again, this is not going to come as any surprise to me. Within this virtual environment for high school, there will be more flexibility just because of those scenarios that I shared with you. So what that means is we won't necessarily have, like the elementary, a true start bell at 7:45 or 8:30 like the traditional day, because we may not be able to meet the needs of high school students. So what we envision is more benchmarks, where benchmarks are met throughout the course of the semester. We envision more of a college approach with office hours, which means students will have access to a teacher. It may be during the day, yet if they're working full time, that's no good to them. So we would have evening and night opportunities for students to meet with teachers. So again, I'm excited to be working with you and with your student or students, and a little nervous, but excited. And that leads me to my final point is I ask that you be patient with us. Like I said, some is new, some's not new, but I can guarantee you 100% as long as I've been doing this, our intentions are to serve students first and what is in their best needs. Please understand that if there is a mistake, it is truly a mistake. There is no malicious intent with something that may happen, with a decision that we make, a wrong schedule, a wrong whatever. We will correct it. If we don't know the answer, we will find the answer. So again, I just ask for patience because things are moving quickly. You're living and breathing this now just through this whole pandemic, just as we are. So again, thank you for being your child's advocate, and I look forward to working with you and your child or children in the near future.
Thank you, Dr. Wolf. Mr. McQuiston, did you want to address the question about personal laptops?
Absolutely. I think when Dr. Jones was discussing technology earlier, he's already shared that the district will be providing laptops and devices for students in the elementary environment. But if a family has a device of choice that they use and work well, or that a child is comfortable with, as long as it meets the requirements of the software and the programs that we're using, that's totally an acceptable thing to do. However, we want to make sure that we clarify with families that that is not a requirement. If a family needs that support, we are ready and willing to provide the supplies needed for that virtual environment as well.
Thank you, Mr. McQuiston. Dr. Tanya Belton, as we said at the outset, has been helping to monitor our Q&A panel. So at this time, Dr. Belton, could you summarize a couple of questions, and we will go about 10 minutes with Q&A.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Frost. Dr. Turner, we had several questions about students that either have an IEP or 504. Can you give us some general guidelines on if we're in the virtual academy, will we get home services for such services as OT, maybe?
Absolutely. All, related services that are already dictated and determined by the IEP team or the 504 team will continue. We have our speech staff, our occupational therapists, our physical therapists that have become pretty well versed with virtual services, and they will then continue that. I did see something in the chat about, will someone come to my home? No, no one will come to the home. This is all about virtual, and they will schedule a time with you and your student to make sure that they're receiving the services and the frequency and duration of services that are dictated on the IEP. So both 504 and for IEP.
There were a few questions about teacher training and teacher qualifications. Would any of the team members please give an overview of how teachers will be selected, what type of training, what type of experience they will bring to the virtual academy?
I can speak to that one. I know, Dr. Wolf, you're thinking about that. So our teacher applications are in process right now. And one of the things that, I think our schools and teachers did a really great job in spring 2020. There is actually a graduate level endorsement that teachers can get for teaching in an online environment, and it's a very, very intense. And I think right now, very few teachers even in the state actually have that. And I have a feeling that after the 2021 school year, a lot more teachers will be pursuing that, and we've been thinking about supporting some of that work ourselves in our district. But all of the teachers who are going to be teachers who are participating in the Virtual Academy program will receive training that is appropriate to making sure that the instruction, the teaching and learning that happens in the Virtual Academy has consistency and is best practices. And that training will be consistent across all of the teachers who are participating. So Dr. Wolf and Mr. McQuiston nod if we're good with that. And then the other selection of those teachers is starting this week. And one of the criteria that Dr. Campbell, who is our Chief of Personnel Services in the district, one of the criteria for selection of those teachers is experience in the virtual environment. So we're going to be working to make that part of the selection process from the very beginning.
Another question that came up several times was if our community numbers continue to rise, will all students automatically be enrolled in the virtual academy? So would one of the team members please clarify that understanding?
So I'm going to give you a guesstimate on this because once we have the virtual enrollment set up, that's the teacher and the enrollment that we have for the year ahead. So if for some reason there was a decision that the buildings had to close, then the teacher would work, the teacher where the face-to-face is, would work with the student on assignments, on connectivity, on and all of that. It would work there. So they would not all come into virtual. Once the virtual is set on the 27th and we know the numbers interested, then we're going to fill that and set that for the year.
And the last general question was hands-on courses such as science, art. I see some orchestra questions, not necessarily marching band, but regular in-school band. What options will students have at the middle level and at the high school level?
So I'm going to take this one, and just because this was a question that came up about science labs and that kind of thing, and I actually did some of the writing in the facts document on this. I think parents and families would be amazed at all the virtual science work that is available on the web. I'm positive you probably got a taste of that in spring 2020, but in terms of science labs and those kinds of things, our courses will be making use of a lot of virtual labs. There are virtual dissection labs, there are virtual physics labs, there are all kinds of things available on the internet, are available through our courseware, and we are very careful about how we select our courseware for students. I will also say that, I know our teachers are probably going to, our science teachers particularly, are probably going to want to set up some labs where students are maybe doing some experiments in the house, and that would be very carefully orchestrated, and lots of communication would come about something like that, and it would need to not include a lot of things that would have to be purchased or would not be available in the house. And we also want to be really careful to make sure nothing happens to your house as a result of science experiments. And and the other thing too is with hands-on courses, I talked a little bit about this with high school. There are certain things like welding that would have to happen in face-to-face, but I know that when it comes to all of the courses that are going to be offered through the virtual academy, we're going to do everything we can to make it as hands-on as possible in that virtual environment. But at the secondary level, if something is not available, we really will be looking at what we can do to provide that experience, either at the assigned school or in some other way. Mr. McQuiston and Dr. Wolf, do you want to add anything to that?
You covered it well. Thank you.
Dr. Belton, are there any additional questions, or have we got most of them answered so far?
No, sir. Those were the questions that seem to come up frequently. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Belton, for assisting and managing our Q&A in the background tonight. Thank you to my team members as well, and specifically to each of you on tonight's call. We have more than 250 folks that were with us at the peak of today's presentation. So thank you, as I said at the beginning, for taking this time to invest in learning more about opportunities available for your children, our students, for the 2021 school year. We look forward to following up with each of you tomorrow and providing that information regarding the application. As a reminder, the application opens on Friday, and that is Friday, July 17th, and closes on Monday, July 27th. We thank you, and we look forward to serving your student and your family, whether you choose the method of A and B and C learning or in this virtual environment. Whichever you choose, we look forward to continuing to have you be a part of the Rock Hill Schools family and being a part of our team. As we say in Rock Hill Schools, we're one team on one mission for one Rock Hill. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.